Hi, Ed. Who is that? No, maybe you can't hear me. I don't think you can hear me.
Say hello, we'll pass 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Well, I don't usually talk at these, so it doesn't really make any difference. Hello.
Hey, Franny, how are you?
Good, good.
Right.
Hi.
Hi, Ed. Ed, are you there?
I see him.
I do too. Ed, you're mute. Unlike you. Hi, Wendy. Wendy, you're muted.
There I am.
There you are.
You're expecting the Board of Ed tonight, right? To
We
make a
hope so.
presentation.
That's the plan.
Yeah, okay. That's why oh, there's Dana. Okay, I'm just sitting in.
Oh, there's Dana.
Yeah.
There's Marty.
There's my friend Emily Basham. Okay. Okay.
Leslie, can you hear me?
I can, Ed.
Yes, I can hear you, Ed.
Can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything? Do you have your mute button off? Let me go back and see. I can tell you. No. You have to unmute yourself, Ed.
Did you unmute, Ed?
No, I could, I didn't. Guess I could.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I can't hear anyone.
Got you now.
Yep.
What am I doing wrong?
I unmuted you. Well, how did you get muted again? In the bottom of your screen, there's a little red with a slash through it that you have to hit that to unmute.
But when he logged on, he may not have clicked allow audio.
No, that could be, we could hear him.
He's getting an expert in, it looks like.
Ed, you may need to turn up the volume on your computer. I don't know if you've.
That's another one, yeah.
Tech services here.
This down to talk or not to listen.
We can hear you.
Just what you needed.
So we can see anything we like about him then.
Video. Take,
Okay, what do you like about him, Jim?
Oh, much.
There you go.
Nancy's not even there, I don't think.
Yeah, she's just coming on now, Ed.
Yeah, so I've been fighting with the frozen
Send it to me.
computer for the past 5
Send
minutes.
what to you?
Yeah, the link.
Yeah, but I don't want to go in the kitchen. This worked the last time.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I don't know why you're not on there.
Do you want to go off and log back on?
Have we heard from Rufus?
I have not heard from Rufus. Nor have I heard from Tegan. She tried to log on to last night, a day early.
Okay. I'm not the only one who was having trouble tonight.
There's Gene.
Hey, Jean. We just need one more. We can get started.
Nancy, I believe you have 4.
Ed's here.
Oh,
He's just moving to a
Yeah.
different room.
That's true. He couldn't hear.
Yeah, I see Fran and Jim.
And Ed is here somewhere.
He's not showing on my screen anyplace.
No, he left because he had no sound and he's signing in another room.
Technology is great when it works, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
I wonder if the technology is as frozen as the weather. I think that's what happened. I left my computer in the car. Not a
Yeah.
good.
You want another one? Come on. Come on.
Leslie, did you try calling Tegan or Rufus?
No, I did not. Not even sure that I have their phone numbers.
I think I have Tegan's. I can try and call her.
Okay.
Nope. Well, looks like Ed made it on somewhat. All right.
Thank you.
There's sound, no picture.
Mhm.
All right, Tegan's gonna jump on too. So we're 3.5 right now, huh?
No, we're 4. Ed's on.
Sorry about that. Worked the last time I did it. Can't expect miracles twice in a row.
Okay, we have a quorum, so let's get started. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to
And
the
to the
republic,
republic for which it stands.
one nation, under God,
Indivisible.
indivisible, liberty and
Yeah,
justice.
justice for all.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do we have any additions to the agenda?
I
Okay,
take it.
Apologies.
no worries, Tegan. You're not the only one who's had trouble tonight.
Whew.
All right, so there being no changes to the agenda, can I have a vote, please? All in favor? To accept it? Any?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Very good. How about the minutes of the 20th of January?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Tegan. Any additions to the minutes or changes?
Hey, oh, sorry.
Hey, Rufus.
I totally forgot what time our meeting was and what time it was in general. So I apologize. I'm still at work.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you here. Let's see, so we are voting to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Very good. Did you all see our letter from Chore?
Yep.
I thought my video is not on. Here, let's see. Whoops. Here we go.
There you go.
Got the letter from Chore? So. Information to have. Any other correspondence, Leslie?
I do not have anything else,
Okay,
Nancy.
Thank you. Reports. Debbie, welcome.
Welcome. I sent them out. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at them, but when you do, you'll notice that first of all, the pie chart from last year and this year are pretty much interchangeable. I guess we're dealing with the same people all the way around and we all have steady habits. The other thing I would like you to look at is the amount of back taxes so far this year. That is a very large number, and most of it came in last July and August. So I don't know how that's going to carry over as far as the auditors reporting next year. It is in the bank and it has been taken care of. As a result of all of that back tax money coming in, if you look at the real estate that's outstanding from last year, it's $15,000. That's pretty much our back tax cushion, is $15,000. So that's not a real big cushion, which is excellent in some ways because it's my job to not have back taxes. On the other hand, I know that's always been something that's always been there. And that's about all of the highlights that I have. There's, as I said, we're talking about 15,000 in back taxes. That's 11 people. That's about it. We're doing well, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, many towns aren't, so that's great, Debbie. Thank you. Anyone have questions or comments? Okay, Marty, you're on.
Thanks, Nancy. Hi, everybody. We're good. We're going well with our budget season, both at the high school as well as Kent Center. We have Kent Center, probably our final meeting on the 25th, next Thursday. We should be able to get our budget all ready for you by then, or the first of the month after we have our March 3rd, I think is our date for our Board of Ed meeting. High school also is doing it. They've been going, just crazy and getting everything done. So they anticipate they'll be able to meet the 24th, I believe it is the date for us to appear. So that should all be good. Today, we appreciate the board's finances action and the town's vote and all that stuff on the security upgrade for the entryway for the Kent Center School. We had a meeting today with the Building and Security Committee that looked at some additional stuff that we had planned to do concurrent with that entryway, which is, and as well as some other things, which is the upgrade our camera and security surveillance systems around the school, both secure the building and just maintain a presence, for things in and around our property. So we got some bids in. We approved a bid to replace cameras. It's old, that 6-7-year-old technology, which didn't seem like it should be that old, but if you have a computer that's that old, you understand. All of our old cameras are analog, which means you had to get in and digitally hold it, or you had to, actively hold the video for 30 days. That's the max that we can store it. With the upgrade, we'll be able to hold our video forever, pretty much. Download it to data tapes and things like that. So that'll help. Plus, it'll improve our acuity of looking out into the parking lots and so on. And there's been a few things over the years that we've used that for. It's been helpful, and this will just improve that. So that's it pretty much for the I think the school and stuff going on. Appreciate the opportunity now to turn over a little bit more of your time tonight to discuss the Green Bank solar project that we're looking at for the school. Wendy Murphy, I see Wendy here tonight. Thank you, Wendy.
Yes.
And Conservation Commission has been sponsoring this. They've been throughout the whole town regarding where can the Municipal of Kent, the town of Kent, actually put solar up to help us with our energy needs. It seems that the Kent Center School is the only building. So we've been looking at that. Dana Slaughter is here from the board. Also, she was on, I think she's still on here. She kind of spearheaded that with the board, but we have Emily Basham and Mackie. I'm sorry, I forgot your last name.
All right, Mackie Dykes. Don't worry about it.
That's right. So Mackie, yeah, there he is, Mackie Dykes. I keep trying to say Danks, but it's Dykes, who are coming in here to just give you a little presentation about what we're looking to do. This is, I'll let them explain the whole thing, but it looks like a very good move that we'd like to go to with the school. So we want to present it to you guys. Highlights are no cost to the town, no cost to us. It's a purchasing, or actually it's the a utility use of a utility, which I think we've been doing all along to get our best rates for oil and gas and so on within the region and within our town and our school. So I think there's some real positives that'll come out of this. Just a quick update. Both Dana and I have reached out to 2 towns, Portland and Manchester, who've had this project put in, and we've gotten glowing reports back of both of the Mackie and Emily, specifically their work in the Solar Green Bank and the solar mapping program for the state of Connecticut. So I think this is going to be really good. So not to talk any longer, although I'm sure for Ed, I've talked too long already. And I'm going to turn it over to Mackie and Emily and let, I think Emily will lead the discussion. So thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
All right, I've got some slides I'm going to try to show and run through really quickly. Can you guys see those?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, thanks everybody for letting us join your meeting. My name is Emily Basham. I'm joined by Mackie Dykes from the Connecticut Green Bank. Just want to introduce ourselves and the program that we're bringing to Kent and the project that we've been scoping with the Board of Ed. So the Connecticut Green Bank, we're a quasi-public state agency. We were created in 2011 by the legislature to provide financing for clean energy projects. The Solar Map program, we just recently created about a year ago. Our partners on the program are ourselves, a team of us at the Green Bank, and CSW Energy, who's our technical hands for this program. And we really created this program out of our history of providing financing for municipal solar projects through our power purchase agreement, which Marty alluded to and Mackie can explain shortly. But through that experience, we knew that there'd be value in kind of providing more support to towns earlier in the process, scoping projects and scoping opportunities and bringing the kind of technical expertise. And so we created Solar Municipal Assistance Program to really make it easier for towns to look at where solar projects make sense, and then provide support for every step of that process. So just to provide a little bit of an overview as to how the program works. We engage with towns to understand, what their goals and interests are in solar and gather some initial information. We started meeting with Kent stakeholders in July of 2020, thanks to Wendy's outreach. And then we do some preliminary design. We use the information that we get to do an analysis of any municipal or school sites. We look at the energy demand and the site characteristics to identify, where projects exist that could deliver some savings. We then do site visits to confirm, that on-site projects are feasible. And tonight we're just going to present just the kind of preliminary design and savings for Kent Center School project. And then after that, we, with approval, we would move forward, securing kind of two pieces that are necessary to these projects. An incentive from the utilities ZREC program, which occurs in the spring. And then we actually administer the RFP to find a construction partner to build the systems. And one key kind of benefit that we provide with the Solar Map program is that, as we're meeting with Kent, we're also meeting with other cities and towns in Connecticut, and we're looking at projects and we're kind of moving them along in the same timeline, so that when we do run the RFP to find a construction partner, we're actually bundling everyone's projects together to create some economies of scale and get better construction costs than if Kent was to kind of act alone doing the solar project. So this way we can deliver greater savings for the project. And then once we've got our incentive secured and the RFP run, we will return back to the town with our final numbers, looking at the final savings and pricing to execute a power purchase agreement. I mentioned last year was our first year, so we worked with 5 towns to develop 17 projects on their schools and other town buildings, and cumulatively they will generate 3.5 megawatts of solar. Tonight we're presenting kind of the economic feasibility of the Kent Center School, so that it just ensures that we hit a minimum of a 10% discount. So the solar energy that the panels provide will be a discount to the grid energy that you currently buy. So tonight we're just making sure that the project delivers at least a 10% discount. But we know that through this kind of aggregating the towns together, we can deliver a much greater discount to you later in the year. So that last year we were able to deliver at minimum a 22% discount to the utility rate, with some of our projects receiving almost a 60% discount to their utility rate. And we'll get into that here a little bit more in a second. But overall, these projects are going to deliver a term savings of over $4 million. So we're really excited about that and looking forward to this year's group of projects. Overall, the program, that we find value, hope to bring value to Kent with this program is that, working with the Green Bank, we want to make sure that the energy savings are there for projects. So you can find, as a quasi-public state agency that we're a trusted partner. This year is the last year of the utility incentive program. So now is a really great time to act to put solar on Kent Center School. As I mentioned, we're grouping projects together to help drive down costs and deliver competitive pricing. And we really look to provide support from start to finish with looking at these projects. And I think the next slide, we'll dive into what a power purchase agreement is. So I'll turn it over to Mackie just quickly to describe how that works and how we'll be delivering savings.
Great, thanks, Emily. I was losing Emily a little bit, so I think my internet might be experiencing issues. So if I do go out too much, then Emily, please just jump in.
Hopefully it wasn't mine. Hopefully you guys heard me.
No, I was checking with others, and so I think it's me. So thanks everyone. I'll be quick because I know we've only got a little time. But as Emily said, my name is Mackie Dykes. I'm with the Connecticut Green Bank. So a power purchase agreement, the way it works is the Green Bank actually is the owner of the system. It's on your roof, but we own it. We pay all the upfront construction cost. So there's no money out of pocket for the BOE. And then we sell you the power from that solar system at a rate that's cheaper than the power you buy from the utility. So you're displacing your brown power from the utility with cheaper green power. And you're doing it in a way from a solar system that you don't have to pay any that you bear no upfront cost for. So it's a great way to go solar. Again, because you have no money out of pocket, you begin saving money from day one based on that discounted purchase price. Next slide. So yeah, this is just a sort of another summary of that bill to the left, what you're currently paying, replacing that with a much lower energy bill because you're purchasing less electricity from the utility and instead buying it from the solar system. That's the solar PPA payment.
Melissa, I just got off Zooming with your husband.
Oh, is he done?
He's done. Well, yeah.
And then
I guess I didn't know you were involved in that. He did his Zooming by himself today. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes that is a challenge and he is trying to overcome it slowly.
Well, when he first signed on, he really wanted his phone to be.
Are y'all hearing someone else talk or is that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get out of this other thing.
Or whatever,
Oops.
whatever other.
Can you just put yourself on mute?
Yeah,
I'm trying to mute myself. Okay.
And then, so the savings there is the difference between what you were paying and the new smaller energy bill plus the payment for the solar. Next slide. And then the savings aren't the only benefit. As I mentioned, there's no upfront cost. You're also locking in a utility rate. The price that you buy the electricity from us is fixed for 20 years. So you're locking in predictable electricity rates that, the trend for the long-term trend for electricity is that they don't get cheaper. So you can expect your savings to grow over time as the avoided cost goes up. And I think one of the most important and attractive features of the PPA is that you don't own the system. So you're not responsible for operations and maintenance and the headache of making sure that the system is up and running and producing and that your investment is paying off. That's all managed by us. And we're incentivized to make sure that it is up and running because we don't get paid if the system's not producing. If it's down, then you're just not buying power from us. You're instead buying the utility power. So there's, this transfers all the risk of you purchasing the system and being responsible for the production over to us. and really incentivizes us to make sure that we get it right. Next slide. Real quick on the Consider School, as Emily said, this is a preliminary look. We can't come with final numbers to you for what the PPA rate would be, because the primary factor in determining that is what it's going to cost to build the system. We base the rate on what we have to when we have to pay out to build it. That will be determined by the competitive RFP. So that's why you saw that earlier range of savings we delivered in the first round between 20 and 60%. We do this preliminary look just to make sure that we could expect to save at least 10% just based on the prices we see in the market. And based on all the factors here, we think that's definitely possible. Again, we would expect to do more through the competitive RFP process, but we want to sort of just set baseline expectations here. And this is it's a decent sized system, 155 kilowatts. We'll be able to offset 85% of your electric usage at the property. So as opposed to purchasing 85% throughout the course of the year that you would have purchased from the utility at this at 10.9 cents, we'll instead replace it with some 9, 8.5, something like that cent, or perhaps even lower solar power. So I just threw a lot at you. I'll pause there for any questions or comments.
Yeah, I have a question. So are these numbers, the 10%, the 85%, is this based upon all the municipal projects or just schools?
This is based on this particular project. You can see the photo on the right. We sort of designed a preliminary system, and then we have software that can, based on this actual location, all the fact, what the tilt of the panels is, the direction they're facing, the weather patterns in the area, we can determine how much we think that this particular system will produce over 20 years. And that's where we get that 85% number. We looked at the electric bills from the property, figured out how much the building uses. So when we compare that with what the expectations of the solar systems production is, we can generate that number. The 10% that's. I'm sorry. Go on.
Before you get off that point, the reason I'm asking the question is that the time of year that the best solar is generated is in the summer, the spring and the summer. And school is not in session to speak of in the summer. So that's why I was asking if it was a general assumption for all facilities, or if this was specific to school facilities for the 10% threshold, for example, because that is my main concern, that we don't build expectations that can't be met.
The 85% sort of offset of by solar. So we look at the building use over the course of the entire year, because in Connecticut there's a policy in place. It's called net metering, which is designed to sort of account for exactly the situation you're talking about. In summer, that's when the system would be producing the most, but you don't need the power then. So what you're able to do is bank credits. So at whatever your effective utility rate is, you would, if you don't need the electricity on site, you bank a credit at the 10.9 cents, so that in the winter, when let's say it's a snowy day like today, there's snow on the panels and they're not producing at all, but your demand is high, then you're able to pull down those credits. So we design the systems we look at the annual demand of the building, and we design the systems to try to offset the annual use, that annual demand, because again, we can take advantage of that. Essentially storing the solar energy for when you don't need it. So that 85% is offsetting the annual demand.
Thank you.
And we're 85 is actually the most we'll do. We don't take it up to 100 because once you produce more than you need over the course of a year, then you don't get to bank it at the full rate. And at that point, you'll actually be buying the power from us, and the utility will credit you less than you bought it from us, so you're losing money on every electron. So that's why we're very careful. We don't want to exceed 85% because we never want to get into a scenario where we're producing more than you need over the course of the year.
Mackie, let me just jump in for a quick second. Since you got this visual up of the top of the Kent Center School, the area in blue that's designating it as the solar panel area is not in no part is that any part of the roof that is to be replaced. When you go to the capital plan, you'll see some roof replacement down a couple of years from now, starting the project a couple of years from now. Those are the other areas. They've already done that look. To make sure that they're not interfering at all with any kind of solar panels on roof that we have not replaced yet. Again, the 20-year, we're still within we are 30-year roof on this one. Remember, we did that. We upgraded the old roof to the 30-year. This is well within that 20-year of the 30-year. So, the roof is to be protected. And before they go forward, they'll bring in our roof contractor who will look at our warranty system for the roof and ensure that there is no interference between the solar panels and any warranty to make sure that the integrated roof stays where it's supposed to be. So just a couple, just while we had that visual up, I thought I'd throw that in. So,
Marty, once we replace those roofs that need replacement for the short term, then we could add more solar panels to those.
Well, as Mackie was saying, Jim, we're almost at 85%. We could look at that. We certainly can see, you're absolutely right. That gives us potential to look at what we could do to expand or upgrade or whatever. Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why not.
I think it's a great project.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think this is forward looking. It's exactly the type of sustainable project that we need to be thinking about as a small municipality, given the current energy climate. Yeah, I really like this too.
I'm just going to jump in a second. It's Wendy. I got to go to another meeting now. I just wanted to hear you say that. Move ahead. Great. Bye-bye.
Do you have some more, Mackie? Or is this the last slide, Emily?
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Up there. I know, but we need to keep it within 10
minutes. Let me ask a quick question. I just heard that potentially Sharon School is looking through this program as well, or Sharon the Municipal Sharon, but Sharon School, it might be a location for the Solar Map program as well.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we have a meeting with the chairman of their school board to talk to them next week, just to get up, their feelings on what's going on. But I think, they're pretty psyched about it as well, from what I understand. So, yeah, this is again, no cost up front. The maintenance of the panels for the next 20 years is Greenbank's requirement, and then whoever you actually hire to come in and do this. Again, the municipalities that will be grouped together for the RFP, that because they'll be looking to hire a company that'll do this across more than just Kent Center School. That should bring some savings in just by scope and scale. We're hoping, it has been pretty much proven that's a way to go, purchasing power wise and so on. Again, yeah, so it was a great question, Nancy, because I had that same exact question. What happens when we're not in school? But as things go, we're going to the end of June and starting in mid-August, pretty much as it is now. And solar panel with our air conditioning systems now put in place along with our windows. We were looking at ways in which to try to mitigate any additional, electricity costs to run that. This will actually help us in that as well, allowing the students not to have to go home. As you remember, a couple of years ago, I know I said this before, we had to send kids home in September because we couldn't keep the school cool enough for especially little guys. We got to still work on that, but we now have a place that we can put them in if necessary, first and second grade, or kindergarten, first grade. But yeah, so we thought we looked at it a couple of years ago. I talked to Kent School about the solar panels they put on this hockey rink and some other places. That was all individual purchase process at the time. Just a couple calls I made, it looked like to be an astronomical amount just for the equipment and for the construction. And there were a lot of questions, that I just didn't have the answers to. And Connecticut Green Bank guys came forward. And again, I want to thank Wendy and her work with the Conservation Commission, and Dana Slaughter from our Board of Ed, who's been working on this for quite a while as well. So,
Marty,
anyway.
can I just jump in for a second?
Yeah, Dana, sure.
Just to say the timeline for this would be that if we sign a letter of intent in March or April, then the Green Bank can get the incentive and they can put the RFP together probably by this summer and maybe even start early in 2022. I mean, Emily or Mackie, you can jump in, but that's how I recall that you laid out our timeline.
That's correct.
So we're still discussing this at the school board, but we wanted to bring it to you guys. Nancy had asked me a question when I sent this to her, saying, did the Board of Selectmen, had they been given the presentation on this? And I wasn't sure, but Wendy jumped in and Dana asked her, and she gave us the whole kind of genesis of the whole program and how they talk to everybody, from the town. Every building that was owned by the town or it could be used in the town was looked at, including the firehouse and others. And as you know, Kent Center has a very wide open area to look, both north, south, east, and west. So, it has a great view. So, I think the boards have looked at it. I'm not sure what, other things are, being talked about, but we certainly want to make sure that you guys were aware of it, and then we can move on and look at that, and then, get your guys' consent to go ahead and sign a letter of intent. Now, the 20 years, if there's, one of the hooks is in 10 years, we don't like this anymore, unless there's a problem, we can take our lawyers to, which we don't want to, of course. But if there was an issue, we wanted to back out of this, we would be liable for costs of potential electrical production, because that's what Green Bank is making their capital, their working capital on, is the long-term sale of the electricity from the panels to us. So if we back out of that for some reason, there could be some issues in that, but that's all discussable and I think fungible as well, hopefully. Anyway, but hopefully it won't be an issue on this. Any upgrades that needed to be done to the panels for whatever reason, replacements would be the responsibility of both Connecticut Green Bank and the I guess it would be whoever had the RFP, whoever did the installation, if there's a problem with that. So again, maintenance and so on would not fall under us for any way, shape, or form, I think so.
Yeah, you mentioned Kent School. We own those systems as well, or at least a few of the ones there. Maybe they have more, but we provided the financing through those, and so we have the PPAs for several of those projects.
Great.
Emily and Mackie, I have a very selfish question. I like Connecticut Green Bank and what you folks are doing so well that I thought I should buy some of your bonds, which have been issued just once, I think. And I'm having a good bit of difficulty trying as a private investor to buy your bonds. It'd be great if that process could be more transparent.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you. We definitely envision another offering, and yeah, we sort of realized ourselves a few folks within the bank were also trying to buy them and struggled. So certainly you're not the only one, and it's something we're going to work on for the second round.
Okay, thanks. Good work.
Nancy, I think that's all we have then from the Board of Ed tonight. Thank you all for your patience.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Emily and Mackie, very much for, again, making this all clear.
Emily and Mackie, for sure.
Thanks for the invitation.
Before you run, anyone else on the board have any questions or comments? Okay.
Mackie, are you at all related to the Deep Commissioner Katie Dykes?
I am, yep. She's
You
my
are.
wife. Yep,
Say that
she's my
again?
wife. She's my wife.
Oh, she's doing magical, amazing things for us in Connecticut. I am. Please
She
pass
might not
along.
hear you. She's bathing kids.
Huge fan.
She might hear you, but if she can, I'll let her know.
Hi, Commissioner, huge fan.
Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so Marty, you don't have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we're on to Barbara. Or I beg your pardon, we're on to Jean.
That's okay.
You say, can't skip you, bad form.
If I'm preempted by Barbara, that's perfect. Couldn't be anyone better. So I'm just gonna go off my monthly report. I stopped counting meetings attended this goes back to January at 37. Zoom has made it sometimes too easy for people to spin up a meeting. So a lot of time spent paying attention on Zoom meetings, but many of them are extremely useful. I had 10 pistol permit interviews in January. I've been tracking it just because of the uptick that's been happening. It's been that way across the state. It comes up on the COG calls, and we think that it's cyclical with the election that we just had, and it will start to sort of level off as we get further out from there. Pandemic related testing, our weekly testing continues, and I'm going to stop here, and could I possibly indulge the group to have a quick moment of silence for John Lindsay, which gets me choked up just to say it out loud. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Back to the pandemic. Big thanks to CERT team leader Bonnie Donzella, who wears many, many hats in the town. Rick and his team, David and the emergency management team, they have all really turned this COVID testing into a well-oiled machine. It happens, like clockwork every Monday afternoon. They've stood out in rain and snow. We did suspend for this past week because it was just going to be terrible out, and it was pretty awful out. But they stand outside the entire time. So the team that comes from the lab, the CERT team that's doing the, making sure the traffic, they're standing outside for the entire 4 hours of these testing events. So hats off to winter time. We get an average of 200 to 300 people every week, which our state contact is surprised and thrilled that we're getting that many people, which means there was really a need for it. So it was a good thing to fight for, certainly. And they've honed their process. They had a couple of hiccups, just going from a lab that basically tests people for genetic testing once in their life to a lab that is testing hundreds of thousands more people on a weekly basis. So some hiccups along the way, but they've sort of smoothed that out and are in a good sort of battle rhythm. Our numbers have fallen off. I think we had in the last 2 weeks, I don't have it in front of me. I think we've had 3 positive cases. So big fall off. We just got finished with a DPH call just prior to this one. And the statewide numbers are seeing that. You're probably seeing it in the news. We're down at hovering at about 2%. So they are a little bit worried that we're seeing a big fall off in testing. So they're really encouraging people to continue to get tested, because that's going to keep telling the story of what's happening as the variants come in from offshore, and it's going to tell the story of how we're going to continue to get through this until we have that 80-ish% vaccinated, which will likely not happen till well into the summer. The vaccine rollout continues to be a big challenge, which is the most polite word I can find for it right now. We stood up a vaccine planning group as part of our incident command structure, I don't know, month and a half ago, when we started to see what was going to be coming. And we were able to pull the registered voters list, which includes date of birth, which was a huge boon for us. because we're, as one town in a very large health district, we don't have the advantage of a New Milford that has their own health department right within their town. We share our health department with many other towns. And so we were able to go in, get the registered voter list, scrub out to that 75 and older. And the CERT team actually took that list, went online, tried to fill in gaps with phone numbers, because the goal was to call every person who's 75 older that was on that list. When they sort of maxed out on the White Pages website, they went old school and got a couple of phone books and went through those phone books and were able to fill in many, many more gaps than they were through online searching. So that was a lot of hours getting those gaps filled in. And then they started calling. It was roughly, I think it was 303 people that they called. And at the time, Highwatch, their vaccination clinic, they were doing direct appointments, which was a great thing for our town, rather than having to go up through that horrible VAM system. They were doing it direct. And so we were able to fill a lot of gaps where people had called the state vaccination line, and the state vaccination line was saying, yep, we'll get you an appointment at the mass vaccination site in East Hartford at the old Pratt and Whitney, which is not a doable thing for, I wouldn't want to drive to East Hartford to get my vaccination. So that was sort of a fail on the state's part, and I can't throw any shade on them because I can't imagine what they're going through trying to make all this work. The logistics it's just got to be out of this world. So we were able to connect them directly with the Highwatch vaccination site, and they were very accommodating. We even had a few residents who were truly homebound, and they were able to do those vaccinations in those people's homes. So we were able to fill a lot of gaps with that outreach. Leah has been great she sent out a senior newsletter. She has a big list. So we're sort of coming at it from a couple of different angles. And the younger tranches, as they come in, those folks are more likely to be online users, and the VAMS system is a little bit more accessible from just being tech savvy to use. It's still not the perfect solution. There's been a lot of talk on our state and regional calls of them abandoning the VAMS process, but the CDC really needs to know in every state how many people are being vaccinated, because they need to know. They need data in order to walk through this process and to continue to head in the right direction. There was a big push tonight on the DPH call about doubling down on all of our prevention methods, all of our what are called non-pharmaceutical interventions. Keep wearing your mask, keep washing your hands, stay 6 feet apart, don't go out if you don't have to, because we're seeing this variant coming in, the multiple variants coming in that are highly, highly contagious. So I'm passing along the message from our statewide partners. So I think that's mostly it. We're probably going to see the next tranche of 1B come in probably 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks. So that's gonna open up even a bigger group of people, and it's going to continue to get more complex and more of a just a fast moving target. So that's COVID. The COG, Rick Lynn, who's been the executive director for 30 plus years up at the COG and has done amazing things, announced his retirement. So he'll be retiring at the end of this coming fiscal year, or the fiscal year that we're in. Hopefully it seems like there will be a pretty smooth transition. He's built a really great team up there. So hopefully that will be an unremarkable transition, because they've got a lot of projects on the boards right now. Northwest Prevention Network, I've been to a few of their meetings. They're focusing on an anti-vaping campaign and moving along with a public service announcement and some other things. It's a big national campaign, region-wide campaign, so they're sort of dovetailing off of that. Update on the Scotticook Indians. there's, our legal team just continues to monitor the situation. There's a new Secretary of the Interior that's due to be, what's the word that just escaped my brain? Not approved, but there are hearings for her confirmation. So that's sort of a waiting game at this point. The next is sustainable CT. We passed a resolution at the February 9th meeting, Board of Selectmen meeting, to participate in the sustainable CT. That is a big program that the state, and I think it's Eastern Connecticut State University. Did I get that right, Rufus? They've partnered to create this program where there are basically 13 categories, and it ranges from environmental sustainability to ethnic diversity sustainability to create a more sustainable town. And it's all voluntary. There are very few deliverables, so there's not a lot of pressure on a municipality where, you know, a Hartford or a Westport may have a lot of resources to put towards a program and projects like this. But little tiny Kent, I don't have project managers and lots of staff available to take on, you know, big projects like this. So the deliverable pressure is very low. The support is huge coming from the staff there. So and what it does is you earn points when you complete certain action tasks. And again, there are towns that have been on this path for 3 and 4 years. But it sort of all dovetails into marketing your town to be a desirable, sustainable place to live, doing the right thing for making a sustainable community. And I'm really excited to move forward with it. I've contacted 2 of the private schools, and they are absolutely excited to take their community service projects and sort of point them towards supporting this initiative. I know that at least one of your Board of Finance members is very, very interested in being part of this. Thank you, Rufus. And he's very connected into the group at Sustainable CT and the regional approach to creating a sort of sustainable world. So I'm really excited about that, which sort of goes to my next exciting announcement that I think about a week to 10 days, the glass container for the transfer station will be finished. It's being built right now. So it's what's called a doghouse. So think of a big dumpster like the commingle container at the transfer station, and it's got a lid on it that's got angled sides, and each side has, I think, 4 big holes for bottles, all sorts of glass. We're going to be separating out glass as a transfer station. That glass will then be shipped down, or hauled, I guess is the correct word, down to a place called Urban Mining in Beacon Falls, where they create a product through a patented process that grinds the glass up but removes the shards. So it can be used in garden bedding. A lot of the use is used in filler. You can use it in up to 50% 50-50 concrete mix, and it makes your concrete more stable. It makes it resilient to, or resistant to, mold and what salt does to concrete. And it removes like 30% of the CO2 emissions that are put out by concrete. So it's one of those sustainable equalizers. Very excited about it. Many of the other HRRA towns are already, they already have their containers, like the bigger towns like Ridgefield. I think Reading has their container, New Fairfield. And I'm really excited to sort of get this off the ground. Also, the organics is in the hopper. We're figuring out some costs about the program, but very much looking forward to getting an organics food scrap program at the transfer station, because that accounts for an enormous amount. I think it's up to 40% of the weight of municipal solid waste, and we pay by weight. So by removing that from the MSW, it reduces our costs. Plus the program that we would be participating in would be a closed loop process. So it would get hauled down to New Milford Farms, turned into compost, and hauled back in the form of compost in the spring for the residents to take for their garden beds, for preparation for the garden beds. So it really is complete. And because they're a processor, a commercial processor, their piles can get hot enough. And so you can actually put bones, which is new to me, in your pail that you would take down to the transfer station. So lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah, Gene, too, just like, because I am a big fan of sustainable CT, and I'm glad we're thinking of joining the 117 other towns that are certified through or registered through it. There's also opens up some of our community groups to, they have a community match fund. So for nonprofits and local community organizations that are trying to raise money for a project, they offer match funds and a platform so that people can donate to the cause. I know Litchfield used it for one of their green bike trails. There's a lot of communities that have been doing it. New Milford is bronze certified, Cornwall's bronze certified, Warren, Washington, Norfolk, all of these towns are.
So keeping up with the Joneses pressure is on big time.
Yeah, it's a good thing from my point of view that this town starts thinking about sustainability in all the different ways. And it also offers the town a really good guidelines and roadmap to what kind of programs we should be thinking about as a town, thinking about the future, getting new families into our town, making sure that we have a sustainable and equitable community. So I think this is a great idea.
And next on the list, when I started a year ago last November, I had this whole list. It was all organized of all the things I was going to check off, and then COVID happened. So I'm really endeavoring to get back to that list and invest time into so many of these projects that we're overdue. And another one is the Broadband Initiative. The Northwest corner is like leading the state in really just moving forward with the broadband for all. There are a couple of bills in the legislative that are going to come through in the legislative session that hopefully they'll get some traction and get passage. But that's the next sort of working group that I'm going to be putting to the Board of Selectmen at the next meeting. And I have probably half a dozen people who are very interested in being part of that initiative.
Yeah, Gene, can we, do we have to wait until we officially have that before we send out the broadband, click here to log your broadband? Because I think that's like something that could go out in the town newsletter.
Yeah, we can put it in the newsletter, certainly, and that would actually be a good sort of foray into talking about it.
Jean, am I allowed to ask a question? I'm not on the board, so I didn't know how your procedural.
Oh, it's up to Nancy. She's in charge.
We're pretty
May I
easy.
ask a question, Nancy?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Just real quick, is there any plan to have recycling of plastic bags in town?
So there's desire. The big hiccup is there's so much contamination that happens with the plastic bags, and public education is really tough. Like they don't want any contamination. The standards are really, really high for those plastic bags. And it kills me to every Sunday we haul that humongous clear plastic bag over and put it in the MSW. Kills me. But it's really, we need really clean bags to come in order to participate. But it's all about the public education for sure. But yeah, the desire is definitely there. Maybe once we get the glass and sort of get organics humming along towards happening, maybe later in the spring we can attack that.
Okay, thank you.
It's totally worthy. I hate seeing that bag. Oh, it makes me crazy.
too.
And I took up too much time, but I appreciate all the extra minutes.
Thanks, Jean. That was a very meaty report. Okay, Barbara, it's your turn.
I submitted my report with the capital report, I guess, and Leslie sent it out, and then I had already sent it out. So I'm not going to just reread it. The only thing that I have to add to that is that there is going to be a FEMA briefing that I'm going to attend tomorrow because they have declared the Isaias storm federally fundable through FEMA. So I'll find out tomorrow what we can submit for reimbursement as far as costs associated with that big summer storm. That's the only thing I had to add to my report.
Anyone have any questions for Barbara? Yep, you're getting a bye tonight. Okay. Well, that takes us on to business then. The first item is the budget calendar, and we did agree that we would have a special meeting on March 24th. So I hope you all have that marked on your calendars. And then we have a tentative meeting if the snow or whatever forces it. We would have one on the 7th of April if needed. So hopefully we'll be able to button things up on the 24th. We'll see. Anyone else have anything to add for the calendar?
So it's just, sorry, Nancy, it was just that, it was just March 24th at 6 p.m. and then April, what was that?
7th.
7th, okay.
Jim?
Nancy, we never really got to the capital plan. Is that something we should address tonight or not?
We can talk about it if you'd like.
I have no serious questions, and I like what the Board of Selectmen did in terms of changes to it. Pardon? Oh. No, I just wondered if it needed to be discussed tonight. I have no particular comments.
It was just if anyone had something that they wanted to share, weigh in on. Tonight would be an appropriate time to talk about it a bit. Yeah, Jean's here, so she would take any feedback back with her.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like they sort of took our concerns, especially around the apparatus and communications upgrades with the fire department into consideration. I think it looks much better and cleaner.
Good.
Yes, and they added, I guess Chris added back in the missing Swift House portion to it.
Yep. Yeah, we had a really productive meeting with a bunch of the leadership from the fire department to sort of reconnect with them specifically about budget, specifically about capital budget. And we talked about that, the updating their fleet plan so that we can share it out with you all and share it out with the public so that there's more of a, what are we expecting and why, you know, instead of sort of wondering why a piece of apparatus or a project is in the plan, it'll just be a point of reference. And also, you know, expanding that out to any of the capital projects so that we have a sort of clearer picture of supporting documentation, narrative kind of thing for, you know, the replacement of a bridge or the replacement of a town truck. It's, you know, X years old and it's, you know, this was the year of purchase. This is the expected lifespan. And this is the plan for the retired truck or apparatus or you know, what have you.
I like that. And I think too, I mean, I don't know that we need to talk about it tonight, but I would at some point maybe like to talk about the annual report. And just, you know, I think that's a Board of Finance oversight thing, and maybe because I'm just looking at ours compared to some of the other towns in the area and making sure that we sort of can all agree what we're using that document for, what we are asking the different departments to produce, and how we would like it to, I'm not asking that we print like a 2,500 page document, but like, something that's a little, just like, let's reconsider what we're using it for and how we're getting that information. Because like in that document, like for example, there's that Greenwoods thing and it's sort of sideways and hard to read. And then I look at someplace like, Salisbury, and I don't know how much Salisbury spends on their annual report, and I almost don't want to know, but it is very like,
You don't want to know, Rufus.
yeah, it's just like, I'd like to see maybe all of the school reports together and just, figure out, because I'm new to this, like reading through it, it was a little hard for me to understand why certain reports were in it and why certain reports might not be in it. And, like I said, not maybe for this meeting, we can maybe wait till after budget, but Jean just reminded me, because like something like the apparatus usage thing that she was just talking about with KVFD, I think that would be a really useful piece of that annual report. Like, we spent X amount of money on the fire department, this is what it purchased, and this is how it was used. Just like Trooper Fisher gives us, we spend money on his time, and then he tells us like, here's how many accidents I responded to, blah, 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 blah. That's all I wanted to say. So maybe something we can table for a future time, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that is a Board of Finance document, correct?
We oversee it, yes. And I think, the thing for everyone to think about is, what is the purpose that we want the annual report to serve?
Yeah.
Because you can tell by the way the reports are written, it's many different things in many different people's minds. And over many years, the major battle has been just getting reports
right
from the different portions of the town. So yeah, we can take a good hard look at that after we get through the budget.
Yeah, I think it would just be useful for me as a new elected official on the thing to kind of conceive of like how we're giving the town information. I think it's a really good document. And I think there's a lot of really good information in there. It's, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page of here's how we should structure it, and maybe things we might want to look at adding. Nancy, do you know how much Salisbury spends on theirs? Because it's like
I can tell you that they have, I'm sure they have a staffer that works on it for many hours that is paid at the rates of that community. So I'll leave it at that for the moment.
All right.
So
can I ask a question? Get back. I'm sorry.
I did want to get back to what Jean was just talking about, the capital plan.
Yeah, I apologize for derailing. That sparks my.
I've made a note of it, and if I forget it, you'll remind us. So
great.
It's all good. Jean, I wanted to ask you, the apparatus too, when you're putting together your notes of, the backup for it, if we are going to be selling a piece of equipment, that's always been a ticklish issue, who benefits from the sale of selling the equipment?
That's a really valid point.
Yeah, so, I would suggest you include that because it always seems to come around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, Nancy, can I just, I haven't seen the updated capital plan. I guess if that's something came out of the Board of Selectmen, I have not had that forwarded to me, or I haven't seen any of the attachments for any of the meetings. So if somebody has an updated one, could I get a copy for the Board of Ed?
We just got it earlier this week, so like a day or two ago. So yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Marty, I'll
maybe
send
you
it
could
right
make
out
sure
to
that the
you.
Board of Ed gets that too if it comes out. I mean, I didn't realize that.
Well, remember, it's a work in progress. It's not in stone.
I understand, but we have some things in there. We just to make sure if there's any changes or anything to that, we can, that we understand that as well. There's,
You have a vested interest. We get it.
a little bit of one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good, good. So any other business for the good of the order?
Nancy, I just have a question. The Board of Finance typically votes to send the 5-year capital to planning and zoning. Is the board gonna do that?
We discussed it at the last meeting and I've already sent it over to Donna.
Okay.
Hi, Nancy. It's Donna. Did you get my email that the capital plan that you sent me was not the most recent one?
What was the date of the most recent one? The one we got on Monday?
I think the date, it still showed the $400,000 in the apparatus and the 250,000 for the radio equipment. So that I know that had been moved out, and that's, I don't want to present to the, Planning and Zoning Commission something that's not right.
Do we want?
The
do we
most
wanna make
recent
a
one
motion?
is February 10th.
Okay, so that's the one that we got on Monday, right?
Okay. All right, so I can
Yes.
get that from Barbara then, right?
Sure.
Nancy, just something for the board to sort of percolate on. In years past, they've given some guidance, pearls of wisdom, areas of focus for the Board of Selectmen for the operating budget as we sort of move into that deep dive, and just wanted you to see if there was any areas of focus or sort of a mission or goals that you want us to spend some time focusing on or have in mind as we're walking through.
Our mission is to not raise the mill rate.
Right.
And that is first and foremost. And I think that, we feel pretty strongly about that.
We do.
We're not going to.
Pandemic. Go ahead, everybody, please.
Can you hear me when I talk?
Yeah,
Yes.
we heard you, Ed.
We're
I
not going to
agree
raise the
I
mill
agree
rate.
completely.
Don't worry
Absolutely.
about anything.
Jim, I'm sorry, you're saying something?
No, I agree completely. Keep the mill rate where it is.
There's no reason to, but that's down the road a little bit.
Deegan?
Keep the mill rate.
Okay, I think we're pretty lockstep on that, Jane. So you can
Got
carry
it.
that forward.
Can I make a comment, Gene?
Of course.
In all your hours and hours of spare time, you might want to explain to the community or to the few people in the community who make an issue of it that Mount Osborne at the transfers at the town garage is not a pile of crap. It's a pile of recycled
X roads.
which Rick could probably tell you how much it saves the town every year in not having to go out and buy this stuff. So for the 2 or 3 people who constantly make an issue of it every time they drive by, it would be worth explaining it sometime at a meeting. Maybe Rick can give you the figures, but I know it's a lot of money. And whatever that pile looks like, it's worth the ugliness.
But in addition to saving money, Ed.
What?
In addition to saving money, it also hides the very elegant garage, the pink garage.
I just said what I had to say. You could add anything to it.
Think of it as landscaping.
Oh, please. If there was someplace else he could put it, I'm sure he would have by now.
Yes. And there are many weeks on Monday mornings where Rick comes in and the first thing I say is, where can we put those piles?
Yeah.
Many, many weeks. And he's like, oh, the piles.
That's why it's a town garage and not a mansion.
Yep.
Okay, are there any other business from the board?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, not
Maybe
yet.
comments.
We have to invite public comment. So is there anyone in the public who would like to comment?
Matt Starr.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you. A couple things. My main reason is to talk about the capital plan of Botsford Road, but I did want to correct Ed. I'm not complaining about the town garage piles, but I think it's incorrect to all the residents assuming it's all recycled material, because it truly is not. There's a huge portion of that that's brand new gravel that was purchased with taxpayer funds. And there's other piles of brand new materials. So it's not all recycled product. And through
Okay,
the years, I have asked, show us the numbers. Back when Lori was there, when Bruce was there. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen the numbers. So if it is a huge savings, the numbers have never been provided. So Ed, I agree with you. If it's a windfall that that material's there, I think the numbers should be shown.
did you ever think 40 years ago, Matt, you'd be correcting me?
Wow, isn't this a change?
I stand corrected, thank you. Educated.
Thank you. So my reason for being on here tonight, I spoke to Jean, I spoke to Barbara, and I've spoken to Bruce and people over the years. On the capital plan, there's $345,000 for Botsford Road drainage repair. Rick has agreed it's a project that needs to be done. It was caused initially, there were some changes in the water courses up on the top of Botsford Road, which increased the volume of water during storms and other times down Botsford Road, and then started flooding the properties on Botsford Road. So they started installing water bars just down from McCann's, Rundle's driveway, the driveway across from his, the end of Good Hill Estates, and then they just continued as people got more water. The town came out and installed these water bars so that the water would keep going past these properties. Donna Miller, who used to own the house right next to me, she had a major problem where her basement got flooded numerous times. She actually filed a lawsuit against the town of Kent, and I believe they settled out of court for her generator and her complete basement renovation to put in a drainage system and multiple pumps. I know that Mona Weeks has a constant problem with her basement getting flooded. Cortese's used to have a problem. I don't know if they still do. The long and the short of it is the water's been redirected. It has nowhere to go. Now it ends up in these huge puddles down at the end by McCann's, in front of Mona Weeks's, until it gets to the point where it covers the entire road, or it freezes to ice. You know, occasionally the town will come along and cut these culverts in on the side of the road, diverting it into somebody's property till somebody else screams. And so back in 2014, I finally convinced Bruce, with Rick's assistance, that that project needed to be put in the capital plan, which Rick got an engineer to design what needed to be done as far as drainage. And they came up with a $345,000. He said it had to go in and wait 10 years in the capital plan. Then in 2019, the Board of Selectmen, shockingly at the last minute, moved it from crossing over, pushed it back so it didn't come into the 5-year period. I was very upset about that. I talked to Bruce directly after the town meeting. He assured me the project needed to be done. He assured me that the town was in very good financial condition. We normally had a surplus every year, and that they would find the money to do it. He was hoping to actually escalate it up and get it done even sooner. So I'm asking the Board of Finance to take a look at that, talk to Rick, talk to whoever, because it was never moved back up where it should be. And really, it's a project that really should be put forward and done sooner than later. It's really just basic drainage on the side of the road. I know Rick put money in there to completely repave the road. That's not what I asked for. That's not what Donna Miller asked for, or Mona Weeks, or any of the other people that are concerned with the effects of this drainage. We just want the water to be drained from the road, so that it goes into a specific area. whether that's into Malibrook or down out to the state road and down into culvert out there. That's all I'm asking for. If you could take a look. I asked the Board of Selectmen, they don't seem to be interested in making that happen. I don't know why.
Nancy, if just whenever I can hop in and fill in a couple of gaps.
Hop right in.
So we did talk about it at the last Board of Selectmen meeting. And it was my fault. I was pinch hitting as host and I did not turn the recording on until 12 or so minutes in. So that part was not recorded, but we did, and Matt wasn't in the meeting yet, but Chris and I did have a conversation about it, and his assertion was that it's in the plan and it needs to continue to move over in the plan. There's a reason why it's where it is in the plan, and it's part way through the funding of it. And we need to wait for it to move into where it's a project that can be, that's funded and can be started. And you mentioned a lawsuit by a previous resident, and we did a bunch of research. We called Kerma. We had them go through their many, many years of files. There was no lawsuit as far as we know. There was an insurance claim, but there was not a lawsuit that we know of against the town with Donna Miller for damage or whatever it was that you're speaking of. So we didn't find a lawsuit. We found an insurance claim.
Yes, Matt.
Well, as far as Donna Miller's claim, she had hired an attorney. She had gotten numerous other residents on Botsford Road, as well as myself, in attempt to have like a class action suit against the town. At the time, she was the public librarian. So it was a very difficult thing for everyone because no one wanted to do that. And everyone else decided not to join in on that, even though she was the most affected. And I believe Gina is right. I don't believe she ever had to actually file the suit. I believe Bruce managed to get it taken care of in some sort of insurance settlement. But the fact of the matter was that she was significantly damaged by this process.
But Matt, actually, the fact of the matter was that you sent me down a rabbit hole multiple times talking about a lawsuit. And when I took the many hours to go down this rabbit hole to look for this lawsuit, because I wanted to read what happened in this lawsuit, it was a fool's errand. And I'm not at all disputing that people had damage to their property, but to couch it in the terms of a lawsuit when there was no lawsuit it's provocative for no reason. And it
Gene, that was not
doesn't
my
help me to help you or to answer your many questions when I get sent down this rabbit hole that ends up not at all being a lawsuit.
Gina, I was asked myself and other residents were asked to join into a suit against the town of Kent. And we did not. Donna Miller did. She hired an attorney and she signed the paperwork with the attorney. We did not. We never knew, we never got to see, or it was never recorded, or we never saw it in the minutes of what happened. So I'm just telling you from our end, we were asked to join into a suit and Donna could never tell us how it was settled. So that would be town records and I'm not privy to that. I just told you what our situation was and how we were understood it was to handle. And all I'm asking for, and I know you and Chris decided that not to move it back forward. I don't think that's correct. The town is in very good financial condition. They haven't had to use the surplus funds that were allotted the last couple of years, and there's been a surplus.
Matt, that is not, excuse me, Matt, that is not true. Because that's why you have not had a mill rate increase. So
There
it
w-
would be- if we were to have to move anything, it could possibly generate a mill rate increase. So please understand that.
But so Nancy, I'm incorrect that there was not a surplus last year and that we did not have to use the money out of the undesignated fund
We
that was
had,
allotted?
we had to use some of money out of the undesignated fund, but the undesignated fund is nothing that we're going to spend down because we need to have a certain amount in there for bonding purposes. To protect the town, we have to have so much in there for operating expenses if there's a disaster. So that's why
I understand the process. Thank you.
the designated fund. So we have heard you. Do you have any new information to provide to the board?
No, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else have anything? We have any other guests that would like to speak? No, I see both. Donna talked already. I guess everybody's had a chance then. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Rufus. Stay safe, everybody, in this next storm.
Yeah. Stay safe.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.